Hello and welcome back to another episode of a weekly waypoint. I haven't started one of these like that in a while, have I? I've been trying to be more succinct. I've been starting with a direct hi. I don't know if it's really changed anything, but let's go again. Hi, today we are playing Unreal Tournament 2004 for the first time on the weekly waypoint in quite a long time it seems. We've played Unreal Tournament 1999 and Unreal Tournament, basically the same game on the PS2 fairly recently. But it's been a while since I've dived back into 2004 despite it being one of my favourite iterations of Unreal Tournament. I couldn't remember where we left off in terms of playing through the maps, so I just kind of chose one at random that didn't look familiar, and I don't think I've ever played on this map before, but one of the great things about Unreal Tournament 2004 is just its map variety. There are so many to choose from. And of course you can download community maps and like community made map packs and stuff like that, so there's that aspect of the game as well. But yeah, I've said in the past that the aesthetic of the environments in this game have helped it not really age a day. And I think I stand by that, even in 2025, you know, it's not necessarily the best looking game out there, but it's not ugly to look at, it still looks nice. Just as long as you don't squint at the character models too hard, that's the only thing. But yeah, this map was kind of fun. It was like a little station with a little ring of like outside ice environment around it, and there was like this little central area where some of the only health packs in the entire map form, so it's kind of like a fight over trying to get your health back, and yeah, it's a pretty cool map actually. I have no idea how popular it is or was back in the day. I don't know if many people still play this game. I mean, there are 17 people playing this specific version of Unreal Tournament 2004 right now, the one that's been delisted on Steam for years, although it does have a 24-hour peak of about 47 people. So there you go, while you're out and about on your travels, just go knowing that somewhere in the world there are at least 17 people probably, or around that number, between that and 50 people I would say, playing this game still. I've talked about this before, but I'm always happy playing against bots. I know there are community servers that you can patch into your game and stuff like that, but I've always played Unreal Tournament against bots. I don't know why, I guess because I started with a PS2 version, we did go over that, but whenever I have tried to play online servers, I've just never really enjoyed the game as much. Mostly because there are people who play this game for thousands and thousands of hours and just kick my ass, and they're the people who are likely to still be playing the game at this point in time. But at least when I play against bots, I can put the skill down and I can feel like I'm good at the video game. But Christian, I hear you cry, what have you been playing this week? Because you've already given away that it wasn't Unreal Tournament 2004 until this recording. Well, I'm glad you asked, dear viewer, because, oh, first of all, I don't I don't remember how movement works in this game, it takes a while. But yeah, while this is mostly going to be an episode talking about things I'm looking forward to this week, there's also going to be a whole lot of talk about things that I've been playing this week, because I started not just one, but 2 new MMOs this week, because I've lost control of my life. Obviously, I haven't spent all that much time in either one, but first of all, I downloaded Dungeons and Dragons Online, because I saw that, you know, being, I guess, maintained by the same people who maintain and update Lord of the Rings Online, they're also doing the coupon thing where you enter a coupon and get a whole ton of free content which you would otherwise have to pay for either through an optional subscription or individually through lots of little tiny payments. But Dungeons and Dragons Online is a very different MMO to Lord of the Rings Online. It's a faux action MMO, I believe the term we go for nowadays is, where you are swinging your sword at enemies and it connects or not depending on where you position your character and so on and so forth. But of course you still have your own abilities and all that good stuff. However, being a Dungeons and Dragons game, it is based on Dungeons and Dragons. Couldn't tell you what edition, I'm not that guy, sorry. Actually, I think in the Josh Strife Hayes video he said it was like 3.5 it was based off of, but yeah. It incorporates stuff like short rests and like action points, but it does it in a way which makes sense for the MMO gameplay, so it's not like too much of a hindrance. But you have all your expected different races and classes and, you know, your warlocks, your clerics, all that good stuff, and all the abilities that you're probably used to from Dungeons and Dragons. And I've made 2 characters so far. First of all, I've made a Dragonborn fighter called Faharanix Zaralzar, which is actually, unfortunately, not his full name, because this is a D&D character I made, you know, with the anticipation of potentially playing a D&D campaign one day. I made it on D&D Beyond, I think, and he's called Errol Faharanix Zaralzar. His name is intentionally a little long-winded and hard to say, and I don't think he was originally going to be a fighter, but in in the Dungeons and Dragons Online universe, he is a fighter. I haven't got that far through on him, and I also made another character, a half-elf rogue, to play with Reese as we play through the game as well, and he is called... Oh, he has a cool name. What is it? Galdramore Silverveins. There you go. I've been in this name-making business long enough to be able to just throw that out of my tongue. And one thing I'll say about Dungeons and Dragons Online is it kind of feels until you get to a point where it opens up and you go and explore your first proper zone, and then it starts to feel a little bit more interesting because the map is all fog of war, and the way they do it is it's very organic. You will be exploring the world and you'll have some objectives like kill this many Sahuagin or something, but you might stumble across a sewer grate, and then what'll happen is instead of having had a quest to go and find this place on the map and go and do it, you will find it naturally, and then you will have a voiceover telling you like, oh, you've stumbled across this sewer grate. From inside you hear the cries of some prisoners. Would you like to venture in and investigate? And you get kind of like an organic quest system as you discover them, which is surprisingly uncommon in the MMO space. It's very MMO games tend to be a very on-rails experience. This game seems to be a lot more freeform in terms of like, you can literally just go out and explore and have adventures, which obviously is very true to the D&D formula. For those of you who have never heard of this game, by the way, I should warn you, it is a game from 2006, it is very old, the launcher is very old, downloading it is a bit of a chore, but it is on Steam. You will have to create an account, and if you are using, if you already have a Lord of the Rings Online account, you will have to use a different email to that one because they exist on the same database. It's a weird issue, but thankfully you are able to have more than one email in this life, so it's not that big of a deal if you know about it ahead of time. I won't lie, it is kind of making me want to give Baldur's Gate 3 another try, but I'm already playing Dragon Quest XI at the minute, and I don't know if I talked about that last week. Did I talk about that last week? I did. Okay, good. Well, I'm continuing my Dragon Quest XI playthrough without giving spoilers. I have got up to the Tentacular fight, and he promptly pushed my shit in, so I'm going to have to go do some more grinding before I can continue the story. That's how it be in Dragon Quest land. I've also been playing some more Spider-Man. I'm in the third act of that game now, but unfortunately the game crashed at the end of a pretty long mission, and that has kind of killed my desire to continue the game because I'm going to have to do all that shit again, god damn it. But luckily the core gameplay is the strength of that game, so it's not exactly the worst prospect in the world. But Christian, I hear you cry. You said you were dual-wielding MMOs, and to that I say, why am I assuming audience response so much in this week's video? The other MMO I downloaded and tried briefly was DC Universe Online, because I don't think I've considered DC Universe Online since I hit my kind of like DC Comics fixation this year, and while I have downloaded and tried it on Xbox once before, I've never done it on PC or on Steam, so I decided to do that, and instead of making like a joke character this time around, I actually decided to go ahead and make an actual character to play the game through on. So instead of Chadius Krongler and his luminescent green and pink tights, this time around we have Rook Castle, I know, who is very balanced, you see. He has super speed and magic powers, and I think that's a perfect balance, right? That's not too much. And I will say it's kind of difficult to make a character you like the look of in DC Universe Online, but I don't hate his look. I don't necessarily know that I'm going to dive in with both feet right now. I think I'm probably going to focus more on Dungeons and Dragons Online, but it was more like a curiosity that needed to be sated, and it's interesting getting into that game's open world because it's the only MMO I've seen where like the open world is like a city, like almost GTA style, but obviously not quite as dynamic or crime driven. And it's interesting to be running around this open world city with other players and being sent to, like, you know, a little bit like in Spider-Man, but obviously nowhere near as good, go and thwart crime and stuff like that. And I'm sure there's other zones in the game other than just Metropolis, the city, but it is interesting to run around it. Maybe the play is to uninstall this game and come back to it when I'm able to give it my full attention, but I was very much hit by the FOMO of like, oh no, old MMOs get shut down sometimes, and I want to have actually, seen what this game is about before that ever happens, even though neither Dungeons and Dragons Online nor DC Universe Online are in imminent danger that I know about. Oh, I also picked up Astroneer because it was on sale and I'd only ever played it through Game Pass before, and that game is just so lovely. Like, There is something about that game that just warms your heart when you play it. I don't know how to explain it, just something about the aesthetic of it. But for those of you who don't know, it is a survival crafting game based in space. You are trying to get off your planet and explore the other planets in the solar system. But it's got a very unique kind of interface and control scheme, but not in a way which is going to put you off. It's very intuitive, but it's like, you know, you're wearing a backpack and every item you pick up goes on your backpack as like a physical item, and you can like click and drag it into places and stuff like that. I've only ever played it co-op with Reese before, and this was my first time really approaching it solo, and I find it very difficult to like learn survival crafting systems when I'm, you know, on a call or playing the game with someone else. You know, I still love playing games, obviously multiplayer, but it's a different kind of a focus for me. I'll like focus on gathering materials or something instead. But now that I'm playing it solo, I'm actually learning how to play the game, and it's a pretty good time, it turns out. But yes, now seems like a good time to pivot away from the games that I have played and talk about the games and media that I am looking forward to playing and consuming this week, because I have a week off and a lot of stuff seems to be happening in the next few days. Okay, so if you are watching this today, on the day that the video comes out, and you live in the US and you play World of Warcraft, I hope you are watching this snug and happy and safe and sound in your brand new World of Warcraft player house. Just know that I'm extremely jealous of you, and just for one day only, I hold ill will towards you. Nah, I'm kidding, I hear you have loads of maintenance to deal with, but, you know, it sucks. For those of you not ever know, EU players get the update a day later, like always. But yes, tomorrow, patch 11.2.7 comes out for World of Warcraft, and if you'll allow me to ramble about one of my favourite MMOs for a little bit, I'm very excited about it. Obviously, first and foremost for player housing, because I'm very excited to have a house in World of Warcraft for the first time. Slightly apprehensive as to how aggressively it may or may not be monetized. We know that they are introducing a proprietary currency to the store specifically for furniture items, which is a little bit of a red flag, but hopefully we can just ignore all of that shit and get on with our housing stuff that we want to do. It seems like the actual progression of unlocking stuff for your house, like your ability to place new rooms and furnishings and stuff, isn't tied to any kind of monetization, so there's that at least. But yeah, I feel like I have never really gotten into player housing in an MMO, because no MMO that's done it has been World of Warcraft, if you know what I mean. I feel like if I was ever going to get into it, it would be in WoW or Final Fantasy XIV, but Final Fantasy XIV doesn't make it easy. And they demand that you stay subscribed to their game the entire time, and if you don't, you will lose your plot. And that, while that is also going to happen in WoW, it's also magnitudes easier to get a plot for your house in WoW. It's just find an empty one and spend 1,000 gold, whereas in 14 you need to enter this whole housing lottery and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm really excited to get all happy home designer up in this shit, although one thing I'm slightly apprehensive about is knowing that, you know, furniture items will be spread out across many different vendors across the game, and knowing that, like, you know, it's going to be difficult to kind of envision what I want for my rooms without having the furniture with which to play around. And I can see many, many times in which I'm in the middle of decorating my home and I'm excited. I'm like, oh, and then I'm going to put this here, and then I realize I've run out of that particular item and I have to go all the way back to like Northrend or something to this one obscure vendor to buy another one of those, because instead of just, you know, buying an item and unlocking it like an infinite number of placements or whatever, or even like a limited number of placements, you have to buy each individual chair that you want to place down, which I think is kind of lame. So we'll see how much that limits my enjoyment, but literally everything else about this housing system looks incredible, and I'm so excited to join my guild neighborhood on the Alliance and to join the Taliesin and Evertal Patreon neighborhood on the Horde. I don't know which house I'll spend more time on or where I'll spend more time, probably in my Alliance neighborhood just because I do main Alliance characters, but that being said, I'm not actually that close to my guild that I'm in. They're first and foremost a raiding guild, and I don't really do raids and stuff like that, so I don't know how that's going to feel. Maybe I'll get to know them a little bit better by being their neighbour. And the Razorwind Shores player housing district certainly looks like a lot better than anyone expected to. I just don't want to live in an orc hut, which we're kind of going to be forced to do until the Blood Elf, you know, like housing exteriors release on midnight release day, at which time I'm sure I will have other things to do do. Speaking of having other things to do, 11.2.7 also adds a prologue midnight questline, which the teaser trailer just came out for, and I did not expect us to be dealing with Sylvanas this soon, but apparently we are, and that's very exciting, and that's piqued my interest. And there's a bunch of other stuff I'm excited about too, like there's going to be another, lore walking questline, and there's going to be Shadowlands time walking. Bloody hell, sorry, there were too many words which were two words together and my brain kind of stalled. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff I'm excited to see in WoW 11.2.7 tomorrow. But kind of annoyingly, on the same day comes Guild Wars Reforged, which for those of you not aware is, they're not calling it a remaster, but it's kind of a remaster update in which they've gone through and updated a bunch of stuff with Guild Wars. First and foremost, it's playable on Steam Deck and controllers now. They will be making it so that it's cheaper and you just have to spend it once to get all 3 main Guild Wars kind of chapters. Most excitingly for me, they are updating the user interface, and they are including a new kind of quest tracking system to really make it easier for new players to approach, because I'm not like a Guild Wars 1 veteran or anything, but I've tried to get into it a few times, and I've really enjoyed it, by the way, when I have, but I've inevitably bounced off of it. I've also been told maybe not to do prophecies first, even though it's the first kind of chapter of the game, because they're all kind of standalone and the later ones have better gameplay loops. So I might consider starting with Nightfall or something, but I think I'm going to try prophecies again before anything else. They've also done some minor changes to the appearance of the game itself in terms of lighting and ambient occlusion and stuff like that, which is going to make it look just a little bit prettier, which is nice. And also this is meant to be the start of a whole bunch of updates to come. They hinted on a live stream that they might be making it possible for them to add new content to the game, as in story content or whatever, but they said they're literally at a stage where they're just figuring out if that's even possible, and probably, although they didn't say this, whether it would garner enough interest in terms of people coming back for Reforged. But I can totally see ArenaNet with Guild Wars 2 kind of looking at Guild Wars 1 as a sort of Guild Wars classic, in the same vein as WoW Classic and old school RuneScape and stuff, because there's definitely an audience for it. And as someone who has played up to, I think I'm on Living World Season 4 post Path of Fire in Guild Wars 2, while I've really enjoyed Guild Wars 2 so far, and I am going to keep playing it at some point, by the way, I definitely feel a little bit left out for not having played through Guild Wars 1. Very recently in the story, there have been a lot of Guild Wars 1 references that I've been, messaging my Discord about, I have no idea who this is, but the game seems to think it's a big deal, and they're like, it's a Guild Wars 1 thing, and I'm like, right, okay, got it. So that's another reason why I'll be excited to play Guild Wars Reforged when it comes out tomorrow. I don't know if I'll check it out tomorrow. It depends how much WoW housing grabs me, we'll see. Also, just jumping back to World of Warcraft very quickly, on the 5th of December, we've got the Christie Golden novel Blood Ties coming out, which I will probably be picking up and reading day 1, because I love a Christie Golden tie in World of Warcraft novel. They are exceptional most of the time. And when they're not exceptional, they're just really good, which I think I can forgive. There's also a new Diablo 3 season coming out that day, and I'm kind of tempted to get back into it in a major way, but we'll see how I feel. I'll probably have my hands full with World of Warcraft and Guild Wars and everything else I'm already playing, but we'll see. On December 7th comes The War Between the Land and the Sea, which is that Doctor Who spin-off show, which feels very Torchwood coded. I can't say I'm super thrilled about this show coming out. I've seen the trailers and it looks fine. I'm sure it'll be fun though. I think after all the mess of Disney faffing about and pulling out and all this stuff, I'm kind of just ready for this era of the show to be over so that we can get on with something new, but it's a spin-off. I'm sure it'll be good. And then a little bit later on, this is more straying into next week territory, but then we've got the Game Awards, which I always enjoy watching. Sadly, it's not falling on my week off this year. However, it is gonna start pretty much when I get in from work at around midnight, so I might just stay up really late and watch it, especially since the day after is my day off, so And of course, Yogscast's Jingle Jam charity run is going on, which always makes me feel a little bit more festive every December. I love having it on in the background, I love catching the streams. I'm a big Yogscast fan, and it's just very wholesome and fun and festive, and cursed sometimes, let's be real. This year's Jingle Cat stream was pretty great. I had a good time watching through it. And speaking of watching through things, I'm going to smoothly transition into the fact that I have Amazon Prime for the first time in a long time. I hate Amazon as a company and I despise giving them money, but it's sometimes unavoidable, and while I'm getting the delivery stuff ready for Christmas, I might as well check out what's going on with Prime Video, and they have The Flash seasons 1 to 7. Not the last 2 seasons, but I've been wanting to watch that show properly for many years, so I am now doing that, and I am recording a thoughts per episode series about it ready for the Kritigri Talk Stories channel, so that's been really fun so far, and I'm very excited to release that video. But yeah, apparently subscribing to Prime nowadays only gets you the ad tier version of Prime Video. They make you pay even more for Prime without ads, which is kind of insane. And shitification strikes again. But I also have either already or am just about to release a video about doing a tier list ranking every single comic that I've read this year, and it's a lot of comics. It's a fairly long video, but it was really fun to make. So make sure to go check that out at Kritigri Talks. It's in the description below. But yeah, we are approaching the time of year where I start making all of this kind of like end of the year sum up content. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do my top 10 favorite games I played this year, because my attention span's been getting worse and worse and I've hardly finished anything, and it just feels wrong to rank games on a tier list when I haven't even finished them and might enjoy them more in the later year. So I might have to rework that a little bit. I've got a few ideas, but yeah, that might look a little bit different this year, just to let you know. But we are now approaching the end of the video, so I'm going to thank you very much for tuning into this episode. Leave a like if you liked the video, it helps my small channel a lot, and feel free to leave a comment letting me know anything that is on your mind, anything at all, so long as it is, you know, not too cursed. Subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in whatever I make next. Look, I did the spiel this time. I remembered to do the spiel.